Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, and that is Finster, of course. Hi, Finster. How are you? Who's decided to join us as we talk about, let me just get this here. She'll probably plonk down in the middle of the keyboard while we're doing this. Unless you're happy where you are. I hope so. Okay. Brilliant Classics has re-released or gathered together and boxed up very nicely the Grieg Complete Piano Works with Håkon Austbø, who is an absolutely splendid pianist. And also you get a separate disc of music for piano four hands with Roberto Plano and Paola de Negro, piano duo. These are very, very good performances. They really are. I mean, Austbø is just splendid. And let's go through it. We'll see what's there. But we could talk about it along the way. You know, the first three discs, did it. Consist of lyric pieces, of course. I love the lyric pieces. People sort of treat them like Mendelssohn's songs without words, as, salon music, but they're just so tuneful and fresh and lively. And that's how Austbø plays them. That really is. I could pick a whole bunch of examples of them. The Norwegian dances dance, which is really nice. They have plenty of verve and vim and vigor. The big book 5, has Shepherd Boy, the Norwegian March, the March of the Dwarfs, a lot of the things that made it into the lyric suite for orchestra. And those are all really well done. Bell ringing, which is harmonically fascinating, is really evocative. But what really gets me, and the thing that I always listen to like first from these sets, is Wedding Day at Troldhaugen. You know that, right? Da 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 ba 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 da do 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 do. It is one of the great earworms in the history of Western music. I mean, it gets stuck in your brain, or at least mine, and it stays there forever and drives you completely insane. And really, Austbø does it wonderfully well because you've heard it so many times, and people do it, and you just go, oh God, here we go. Part of the problem with the piece is there's this tendency to overdo the rubato, and especially at the dun 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 dun, ba-da-dum bum bum, dun 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 dun. It can be really pulled about like taffy, and he doesn't do it. He starts with a rather swift tempo, which is lovely. And I'm just talking about this as sort of typical of the approach generally. And then the best thing is that he manages to give some atmosphere and to vary the tempo moderately, but without being like, tacky. Or overly sentimental, or I've heard performances of this that have just been all over the place. And this is so coherent and refreshing. And all of these performances are. So that was, sort of my way of, getting the sense of what he's doing. But let's look at what else we have here. So that's the first three CDs. CD 4, the Piano Sonata. Oh, well, that's very nice, underrated work. Nobody ever pays any attention to that. Scenes from Folk Life, Opus 19. Well, that's gorgeous. The Ballade in G minor, which is actually a theme in variations. And this is a very cogent performance. It's like Wedding Day at Troldhaugen. No, what I mean is he keeps it moving. He really does. He sees the bigger picture, and that's the idea. Then we've got the suite. Oh, the Holberg suite. Oh, this is gorgeous. That's beautifully, beautifully done. Very, very charming and full of rhythmic point and appropriately, lyrical phrasing. It's just great. Then we've got, some album leaves, improvisations on Norwegian folk tunes, the piano pieces, Opus 1, poetic tone pictures. Oh, those are fun. The humoresques, Opus 7, Nordic dances and folk tunes, Opus 17. This is like a billion little tiny works. It's similar to what Geert Tveit would later do with his 100 folk songs from Hardanger. And these are so much fun to listen to. I just love this stuff. Then we've got more Norwegian folk tunes, Opus 66. The Norwegian Peasant Dances, Opus 72. Those are charming. There's another wedding march in there. This one from Telemark. not from Trollhaugen. These are like little tiny pieces. They're little gems. And it does take a certain amount of intelligence, I think, to play them with sufficient variety and character. And Austbø does that. He really does. Moods, Opus 73. Well, those are more like generically romantic. Piano transcriptions of songs, books 1 and 2. Okay, those are fine. 3 piano pieces and some short things. Norwegian mountain melodies. Well, those are nice. And 3 piano pieces. Okay, so that's basically the complete piano works right there. I've left out a couple like album leaves and things like that. But they're all nicely done, very well done, effectively done. He doesn't take anything for granted. He creates an enormous amount of character and variety. And the music for piano 4 hands, the 4 Norwegian dances, Opus 35, 2 symphonic pieces, Opus 14, Peer Gynt suites 1 and 2. Peer Gynt suite number 2, Appendix. Yeah, you get the Dance of the Mountain King's Daughter. I love the Dance of the Mountain King's Daughter. 2 waltz caprices and 2 Nordic melodies. Okay, that's fine. 2 Nordic melodies and then something. Oh, I see. Yes, okay. You get them like together and separately. Anyway, a wonderful set, a terrific set. And if you are a Grieg piano collector person, you're going to want to have this. It's always good to have Grieg's piano music getting some attention because it's one of the great bodies of piano literature, the second half of the 19th century. And when performed this well, then everybody should be happy. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.